Selling stuff you don't need for some extra cash has gotten a lot easier thanks to the good old internet. But it seems like new e-commerce platforms are just popping up every day. And it's safe to say that they're not all created equal. Today, I'm going to be talking about my experiences on Mercari and how they compare to the C2C marketplace OfferUp. So keep watching while I tell you everything you need to know. Also, if you haven't signed up for Mercari yet, you can use my link down below to save $10 when you make your first purchase, or save $20 when you make your first sale. Let's get straight into it with one of the most important considerations: price. One thing that I really liked about Mercari was how straightforward their pricing policies were. Sellers' fees can make or break your online business, and they can also be a big factor in determining how much you can pocket by selling your extra belongings. In the case of Mercari, they don't try to hide these fees with any complicated lawyer talk. But with that said, the fees themselves might be a bit tough for some people to swallow. So, if you put an item up for sale on this platform, Mercari will keep 10% of the final amount. However, that's not the only fee you'll have to pay. There's also a processing fee that comes up to 2.9% of the sale price, plus 50 cents for some reason. Oh, and in case the price is under $10, you're looking at an extra $2 for the processing fee. To be honest, that's actually not too bad in today's e-commerce landscape. Plenty of other platforms are pocketing way more than Mercari, so I won't hold their current pricing scheme against them, especially considering the prepaid shipping label that they offer. This useful feature can save you up to 60% on regular shipping rates, so it's more than worth the money in my view. You could always choose to just ship the product yourself, but I really prefer the prepaid label. They deliver it right to your door too, which adds up a whole new layer of convenience to the process. Now with OfferUp, you've got to pay a hefty 12.9% of the sale price, or a minimum of $1.99. That can get really steep when you're just looking to make some spending money, and the $2 minimum can hurt a lot if the sale price is low to begin with. Now, there's a catch that I should probably mention. OfferUp's main selling point is that it allows you to sell to people locally through in-person transactions. And get this, there are no fees in this case. Yep, as long as you handle the sale yourself instead of conducting it through the platform, you can pocket all of the cash. In a way, OfferUp is giving you free marketing for products as long as you stick to local customers. I can't say the same for Mercari though. While it does have a separate section for local buyers and sellers, all of the same fees apply. In my opinion, both of these platforms get a 4 out of 5, considering that OfferUp doesn't charge you for in-person transactions conducted in cash, and Mercari's comparatively low rates overall. I'd say that's pretty fair. Okay, let's move on to the user experience test. No matter how cheap a platform is, you won't get much value out of it if it's needlessly difficult to use. I also tend to avoid apps that require a ton of technical expertise. Like, I'm just a simple guy looking to sell some stuff. I can't spend hours trying to figure out how everything works. Now, can I? Anyway, the good news is that Mercari knows what their users want. They've created an interface that even your grandma could figure out how to use. At least if she's tech savvy enough to use basic social media platforms like Facebook. And I honestly think that most grandmas out there are using Facebook nowadays. So this isn't a very high bar to clear. Don't get me wrong though, this comparison only has to do with ease of use, not the user interface itself. That's mostly because Mercari is much more image oriented. Think of it kind of like Instagram, but for quick and easy e-commerce, instead of sharing pictures of your vacation. As soon as you open the app, you'll see a ton of pictures of products you can buy. There's a handy search bar at the top of the screen, and all the products are sorted into recently viewed and new arrivals categories. I was able to keep track of items I found interesting and find some cool new stuff I ended up buying. Sellers will have a pretty easy time of it too. Adding listings is an absolute breeze. especially adding photos, and you can handle all communications with buyers on the app. Also, the platform offers secure payment processing, which means less headache for both you and your customers. As for OfferUp, I have to say I was equally impressed by their interface. Making listings is even easier than on Mercari, and you just tap a button, add a picture and a description, set a price, and voila. The user interface is actually almost identical to Mercari's, except for one big difference. You get separate categories for orders that can be picked up locally and products available for delivery. That can help you separate items based on whether or not you want to pay the fees. For sellers, it allows you to focus on the customers you actually want to sell to. Other options for sellers include sorting your item into categories, which helps people find them a bit more easily, and select the fixed price option if you don't want people haggling over the price. By the way, haggling is a very real feature on OfferUp. I really enjoyed using it because sometimes I was able to get the seller to offer a more reasonable price, and the OfferUp community in general doesn't try to beat you down till you're barely earning anything. Once again, I have to give each platform an equal score. They both get a full 5 out of 5 here for a total of 9 out of 10 each. This is a pretty close race, but there's one final test to clear before I make my final decision. How easy is it to get paid on each platform? Some people might prefer Mercari here because their online payment options are really seller friendly. The cheaper option is to wait for a direct deposit, which takes about 5 business days after a sale in my experience. If you need the money sooner though, you can opt for their instant pay feature, which lets you get paid, well, instantly, of course. Now, there's a $2 fee for instant pay, so you might not want to use it all the time. Even so, it's convenient to be able to get cash in a flash, especially if you're over in a sticky situation finance-wise. Seller protections also matter here, and Mercari takes it very seriously. As long as you ship the item on time and describe it accurately in the listing, you're covered by their seller protection policy, which means instant support if a buyer tries to pull a fast one. There's also that prepaid shipping label I talked about, which ensures that you get up to $200 in damages if the item is lost or damaged while it's en route. OfferUp's no slouch in this department either, though. Their trust and safety team is available 24 hours a day, and coupled with their top-of-the-line fraud detection system, it makes for a very safe and trustworthy experience on the platform. Look, scammers are everywhere these days, so you're bound to run into one sooner or later, but the good thing about OfferUp is that they use machine learning algorithms and real human support staff to keep your experience as smooth and comfortable as possible. There's one added advantage of OfferUp that's worth mentioning though. If you need cash, like actual cash that you can hold in your hand, you can get it through OfferUp if you go the in-person route. You can get payments through PayPal too, of course, but if you prefer to just have the money handed to you, there's nothing stopping you there. And if you'd rather just have the money transferred, the platform requires buyers to do so after a 2-day checking period. That's a faster turnaround time than you get with Mercari, which deserves an extra point if you ask me. I'm giving OfferUp a 5 out of 5 for this round, for a total of 14 out of 15, and Mercari gets a 4 for a total of 13, which means we officially have a winner. OfferUp takes the crown, but Mercari still gets an honorable mention. I stand by my decision because OfferUp has a great interface and some very seller-friendly policies, but I do think that Mercari is worth your time. If you're looking for a more e-commerce oriented platform, it might even be an equally great choice. It's just that OfferUp's superior options for local selling gave it a clear edge. When you factor in the intuitive interface for users and the speed with which you can get your cash, you'll definitely agree that OfferUp is the superior choice. Still though, Mercari is pretty solid and is definitely worth trying. Also, if you haven't signed up for Mercari yet, you can use my link down below to save $10 when you make your first purchase, or save $20 when you make your first sale. But what do you think? Are you going to try either of these apps out? I'd love to know what you think if you do. That's all for now. See you in the next one.